Well, that thing at the end was very intriguing about the Russians, because while we've been spending the last 5 years, spending untold sums of money clearing out block after block, city streets in Iraq, Russia has put their money into creating a monopoly and cartel around the world.
Yes.
And energy, and they've already put the demands on Georgia and some other places, brought them to their knees. I'm not talking about Georgia, U.S. I'm talking about Georgia overseas, where they have a lock on natural gas and other things over there, and they're using this to wield their influence. So all their money's gone into creating economic protection and almost aggressiveness, as opposed to us making regular weapons.
Well, yeah, I wonder, there's this, I read this article that was saying that the birth rate in Russia has fallen so dramatically that they may have problems continuing to be a country in 50 years.
Right.
So all that, it's weird. They'll have this very effective weapon, and 50 years from now, if we go that long, we may not have anybody to
But the Chinese have lots of money, and they have lots of men, but they don't have enough women. You would think something could be worked out between the two countries.
There you go.
Now Europe's in the same problem. What they've done is they've brought Islamic immigrants in to keep the population up, and guess what? That's why we see reported now that the second most popular baby name in England is Muhammad.
Yeah. Well, I've read reports that say that France will no longer be the country as we know it, and it'll cease to be sort of a Christian country. I guess if you can call France a Christian country.
Yeah. Could you ever call it a Christian country?
Well, they were Catholics for a while, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. But they, I don't know. They have been, they have the worst Islamic problem I hear. They and the Germans.
Yeah, well,
as far as a clash of cultures, let me say that clearly.
Well,
I don't mean so just because they have a different religious belief or problem. I don't mean that. I just mean that there's a big cultural difference.
Oh, sure. Well, I could see it when I was there. The last time I was there, it was like, I saw a guy get mugged on the street by several Islamic gentlemen. I guess they weren't that gentle.
No, I wouldn't call them gentlemen. Did they have like canes and top hats while they were doing it?
Yeah, under the
a monocle.
Yes,
while they were mugging.
They kind of looked like Mr. Peanut, actually.
Yeah, or Sebastian Cabot.
Yes.
I
don't know who Sebastian Cabot is.
Family Affair.
No.
Well, anybody out there who's old fogies like me, you'll remember Brian Keith and Buffy and Jody and Mrs. Beasley and Family Affair. I don't know how that ties into Islamicism because they didn't cover that much on that show.
So have you got a story for us now?
I've got a story. This is more serious. We've had some frivolity today. This is evangelical struggle with politics, a struggle to energize evangelicals. This just came out June 13th, and the story from this is from Andrew Ward in Indianapolis. I believe it's the Indianapolis newspaper. It says, as evangelical Christians gathered for the annual meeting of the Southern Baptist Convention in Indianapolis this week, veteran pastors said they had never known such excitement about a presidential election. Unfortunately for John McCain and Barack Obama, they were talking about the contest between 6 rival candidates to become president of the Southern Baptist Convention, America's largest evangelical group with 16 million members. When conversation turned to the U.S. presidential election, the mood was gloomier. 4 years after helping deliver a second term for George W. Bush, evangelical voters are struggling to summon enthusiasm for the 2008 race. I guess they think the good days are over. It says,
you're right.
We feel like we're in trouble, said Raymond James, pastor of a Baptist church in Tampa. There isn't a candidate that represents our values. A quarter of U.S. voters consider themselves evangelical or born again, Christian, and in 2004, nearly 80% supported Mr. Bush of evangelicals. 2004. But they failed to unify around a candidate in this year's Republican primaries, allowing Mr. McCain to win the nomination with backing from moderates and independents. The Arizona senator is viewed with deep suspicion by many evangelicals because of his mixed record on social issues, including support for stem cell research when running against Mr. Bush in the 2000 primaries. He also famously described evangelical leaders such as Pat Robertson and the late Jerry Falwell as, quote, agents of intolerance. I used that quote on another show, and I wondered if people would say, "Oh, I don't remember that," which it was some time ago. But I'm glad to see an independent source reconfirming my recollection here. Mr. McCain has tried to repair relations by highlighting his pro-life voting record, strengthening his opposition to gay marriage, and by promising to appoint conservative federal judges. But most evangelicals remain unconvinced. Rightly or wrongly, we viewed Bush as one of our own, said Michael Griffith, a Baptist pastor in Arkansas. We don't feel the same way about McCain. Now, let me mention about McCain, too. They didn't mention it here, but he was very, very wishy-washy in 2000 when he ran for president, and he said he'd have no problem at all putting on a pro-choice vice president. And he was very different, too. People forget. They have short memories, but that's what I recollect.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. Bush won in 2004 by energizing the conservative base, Mr. McCain is more inclined to reach out to swing voters. He is gambling on his ability to fight the election on center ground without losing the evangelical voters who form the bedrock of Republican support. Based on dozens of interviews at the conference, the strategy appears to have a chance of working. While dissatisfaction with McCain was universal, almost everyone questioned said they would vote Republican to stop Obama. So if I understand this, McCain's strategy is not to provide anything back to his evangelical supporters, but to just scare them. In other words, I'm not going to give you anything, but I'm going to scare you about something else. And evangelicals are just jumping on with open arms.
Well, I think we should maybe think about that.
Okay. Thank you for your strong position on that. That's a very good way to say it. Richard Land, head of Southern Baptist Convention's Ethics and Religious Liberties Commission, said evangelicals were horrified by Mr. Obama's extremely pro-choice record. I'm hearing people say, McCain was not my first or second or even third choice, but I'd rather vote for a third-rate fireman than a first-rate arsonist on the issue I care about.
I don't know exactly what that means.
Well, what if the guy's a third-rate arsonist as well, rather than a first-rate? Or what if he's just a deceptive arsonist?
Well, and what if
as
he's a
opposed to
butcher
does one out in
or
the
a
open?
candlestick maker? I don't know.
You're talking about somebody who poorly does the job of fixing a problem rather than someone who's causing the problem.
Oh, I see.
Which I think characterizing him that way is the fundamental problem to begin with. Shows how easily we're swayed. Winning evangelicals' votes, however, is only half the battle. 2004, evangelicals played a crucial role in mobilizing voters for Mr. Bush. Many solidly Republican states took vacation to volunteer in swing states such as Ohio and Florida. It is hard to imagine them doing the same for McCain. Even if most evangelicals vote for him, they're not going to work very hard to bring other people along, said Cal Jolson, political scientist at SMU. Reporters at the Southern Baptist meeting said Mr. McCain's choice of running mate would be crucial in determining the level of enthusiasm. So they're saying if they throw him a bone, that will salve their consciences. Social conservatives such as Mike Huckabee, the former Arkansas governor and Baptist preacher, you might also add the one who, per my recollection of the debate, said he wanted to send the Iranians to hell.
Yes. Or I think the exact words, lead them to hell.
Lead them to hell, excuse me. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, so take it for what it's worth. I'm going on my recollection here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check the debates and verify that, that would be fine. Anyway, where am I here? That would help build trust, they said, if they got Mike Huckabee. A moderate choice, such as Florida Governor Charlie Crist, would spark rebellion. While McCain is struggling to energize evangelicals, there is one subject that could fire them up. California Supreme Court last month struck down a ban on same-sex marriage, freeing homosexuals to wed starting on Monday. Republicans hope the ruling will rally evangelical voters, just as a similar decision by the Massachusetts State Court. So they're saying if they push that button on homosexual marriage, evangelicals will suddenly stand up and go wherever they're told.
It's like button banana.
Yeah.
Button banana. Button food pellet. Great. I thought my story was dire.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But while it's far from clear whether gay marriage will prove, and this, consider our audience right now listening to this, consider whether gay marriage will prove as a potent as issue this year. Evangelicals have a lower average income than mainstream Christians. So evangelicals are outside of mainstream Christians, even though they're 1/4 of the entire population.
Yeah, how do you, what?
That's interesting.
What? Yeah.
Making them particularly sensitive to the economic downturn. A recent opinion poll in the battleground state of Ohio found that 40% of white evangelicals rank jobs and economy as the most important election issue, with just 14% putting abortion and gay marriage top. I wouldn't be surprised to see evangelicals voting on pocketbook issues rather than values this year. And we're getting here to the end, according to the national poll published this week by Calvin College, that's sort of like Calvin College in Michigan. It seems like Calvin College would already know what the results. It would already be predestined what the results would be.
I was going to go there, but I thought,
Okay.
yeah, you would say predestinated.
Now, you wouldn't see like Calvin College in Armenia.
No.
Anyway. Okay, 24% of evangelicals plan to vote Democrat in November, up from 19% in 2004. It's not only economic forces that are weakening the Republican stranglehold. Many younger evangelicals have grown frustrated by the movement's narrow focus on abortion and gay marriage and are pushing to broaden the agenda to include more left-leaning issues such as poverty and climate change. We need to hurry up and go.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to go. Let's talk about this another day.
All right.
I'm sorry, our time just gets away from us. Couple stories.
I guess we're just going to have to go to 8 hours a day here before too long.
And people are going to have to quit making less news.
Yes.
So we won't have as much to cover. We got to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we will catch you back next week for another great Future Quake show. Have a good day. Join us next time as we dare to experience another aftershock of a Future Quake.